And welcome back to another episode of Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff and Matt. As we are going to take us through what was hopefully a nice holiday weekend to start for most of us Eagle fans. Happy Thanksgiving again for those of you who celebrated with friends and family and whatnot. Until, of course, yesterday afternoon when the Eagles kicked off against the Bears at 3 p.m. and decided to play an even worse game than they did coming off the Dallas choke job from the previous week. So we're going to dig into this, hide the women and children. I know it's Thanksgiving weekend still, but this is not a time for those who with weak stomachs because, yesterday I texted Matt and I'm like, it's time to go off tomorrow. We've been kind of like frustrated the last few weeks, certain points of the season. And today it's like, you know what? It's just time to hammer this team because when you see gutless play, when you see your team at home coming off a choke against your division rival and then putting down a performance like that yesterday and a big game with 2 8-3 teams and just being completely dominated at home. That's it. It's just time to just let it all out today. So, Matt, before I get into it with my deep dive, your general thoughts watching that game yesterday?
Well, A.J. Brown, 10 catches, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah! Woo! And then a loss.
Every time he seems to have a good game, the Eagles don't win.
No. So I don't think Jalen Hurts even bothers looking for guys. I don't know if he's trying to make a point, so he's just going to keep throwing it to A.J. while they keep losing. I don't know if there's like a bitching contest still going back and forth between those two that they haven't worked out yet or what. But what's so frustrating is there's one freeze picture that I saw of Dallas Goedert wide open in the middle of the seam running towards the end zone, and nobody's even in the picture with him. He's just that wide open, and Jalen's not even looking that direction. Now, a lot of things happen on football plays, but I'm like, but that's a throw that Jalen usually makes and usually sees because it's right in front of him, and it's not there. And then, you have all this talent, and you look around the league and you see people that are not Jalen Hurts. You see people like Davis Mills subbing in for C.J. Stroud, able to throw the ball to open receivers, and Jalen sometimes just looks like he's blind. Can't see him. And it's the most frustrating thing because then there's the games where he sees it all in the Super Bowl, for instance. And then there's other games where you're like, this guy's not our guy. And boy, wouldn't it be nice to just have him like get the wind knocked out of him or something. So he has to take a seat on the bench for a quarter and let Tanner McKee come in there and see and throw the ball. So I don't know. That's where I was at yesterday. I'm like, put the backup in so we can just get this offense moving. And if the offense doesn't stop moving, then leave Jalen on the bench. Like, that's where I was at. The defense just looked awful. The whole team just looked like they were not caring to even play this game. And if they had already resigned to the fact that, who cares? It's Thanksgiving. We're all slow. Nobody cares about football. That's how they looked. And the Bears looked the opposite. Like, the Bears is exactly where you want your team to be. And the Eagles are exactly where you don't want your team to be. And 8-4, we've set up how September is preseason football. Real teams start playing in October, but when you're talking November to December, the teams that are really the ones that are going to go into the playoffs are the ones that are getting hot and striking that time perfectly. And the Eagles are not one of those teams. So they're all, Rich Eisen on his podcast was talking about how you don't need to panic because the Eagles are 8-4. And I'm like, yeah, but everyone that watches this team knows they're a hollow paper mache team. There ain't no guts.
And keep in mind, Rich Eisen, as much as I like him, he's a Jets fan, so he's used to losing a lot.
Which is why he's happy that we're 8-4. But we're only 2 games ahead of the Cowboys.
A game and a half.
And that tie is not a loss. The tie that they have with the Packers is actually going to help them out this season, it looks like, instead of being like an albatross. So, luckily we've already split our series with them, but, Jaden Daniels is working on getting healthy for the Commanders. Terry McLaurin's going to be playing this weekend without Jaden Daniels, but they'll both be there when the Eagles have to play that team. And now you're talking maybe another possible – if they show up like they did yesterday, they'll lose every game. And people are like, well, the Raiders are still on the schedule, and so are these two Commanders games. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you can easily chalk up
2023. Do you remember 2023 when they had that easy last few weeks of the schedule? The Arizona Cardinals,
the Giants,
who had like 2 wins or 3 wins on the season. And the Eagles, after a 10-1 start, collapsed. And that's when it really started, was around this time of the year. These type of games, six or 7 games to go. And then by the end of the season, those 2 or 3 wins, they just beat the Cardinals and the Giants, and they'll be able to right the ship. They lost to both the Cardinals and the Giants. And like, again, right now, the way they're playing, and I remember at that time of the year, I was like, I don't think the Eagles could beat any team in the entire NFL. I was saying that, I think, even before the Giants game. And this is showing me very similar, thoughts that I'm having right now. Like, I'm looking across the league. I'm like, the way the Eagles playing right now, can they beat anybody? They're just horrible.
Like what?
They are just playing horrible. You mentioned Hurts. That was a good summary, by the way, because you kind of touched on everything. Hurts is playing terrible, and I was thinking the same thing. Like by the third quarter or late in the third yesterday, I'm like, can we see McKee? I'd like to see McKee in this offense because Hurts is having a horrible game.
Yeah,
really 2 straight games in a row. He's played horrible, and he really hasn't played well for a while now. When you can say, hey, he had a really, really good game. I can't remember the last time we could say that about Hurts, but the last 2 games have been pitiful. And but they're not going to. I mean, you think about it. It was just 10 months ago that he was the Super Bowl MVP. So it's like,
I know
there's no way they're gonna put McKee in there. There's just no way. But
it won't.
Unless there's
Andy Reid benched McNabb. McNabb had brought them to championship games. Never won the Super Bowl, but McNabb got benched in that season where he was just looking terrible. And they didn't have a backup quarterback that could play back then. I can't even remember who came in for McNabb, but
maybe.
Yeah, Andy Reid did it. And I'm like, it'd be a bold move, but at the same time, it's like we would certainly find out some information, right? I think Eagles fans are just wondering why. Why is this all happening? Is it more Hurts or is it the OC? If you put in McKee and the OC and the offense runs, it's like, okay, Barkley.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Just to get some answers.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we're all like, what the hell is going on? How can this team with this much talent just not even move the football, let alone scoring points? They can't even move the ball.
No. And Barkley.
I mean, I went through. This might be a good time to go through this. Okay. I'm just going to go through the drive summaries from yesterday.
Oh boy,
this is gonna. If you haven't thrown up yet, this is gonna make you puke. So first quarter, the Bears had the ball for over 10 minutes. And the Eagles had just one possession, 7 plays, 20 yards. Okay? It's the only possession they had in the first quarter. Bears had it the rest of the quarter. Second quarter, the Eagles had the ball first, went 9 plays, 44 yards, and kicked a field goal. All right? Then the Bears kicked another field goal just to, go back, stay up by 7. Or it was, to stay up by 7. And then, here we go. 5 plays, 7 yards, punt. 5 plays, 12 yards, punt. End of the half. Third quarter, Eagles get the ball, right? Maybe start something good, had a half-minute discussion to, see what they could do to change the strategy, change things up for the second half. 5 plays, 1 yard, punt. And then 2 plays, interception. Then they did have their only really good drive of the game in meaningful time. 6 plays, 77 yards, less than 2 minutes, they scored a touchdown. And that's when we're all like, what the? I mean, why can't they do this more often? That's when they had their really good drive. It was the only really highlight of the entire game. And then they had the huge Jalix Hunt pick. And we're all like, oh, man, here we go. Huge scoring drive. Great play by Jalix Hunt, which was an amazing play, by the way, for a defensive lineman.
Yeah, wake up. Wake up the whole
here
team.
Here we go. They start marching down again. And then they do the stupid push, and Jalix, Hunt. I mean, not Jalix Hunt, but Hurts just leaves the ball way exposed, and that's clearly what teams are doing now. They're just waiting for Hurts to get kind of slowed up and stopped, and then they're going to go and grab the ball. They got lucky against the Giants. That should have been a fumble, as we all know. And obviously, everyone's going to tape on that Giants play. Clearly, that's what the Bears did, ripped it right out of Hurts' hands. And there we go. Fumble, turnover. They were inside the 12, or they were at the 12-yard line on that play. So that could have been potentially a big game-changing drive there. But nope. So after the fumble, what did the Bears do? They go 14 plays, 92 yards for a 7-minute touchdown. Eagles get the ball back. 5 plays, 7 yards. But Bears score another touchdown. And this is basically garbage time now. The Eagles did have their second drive of the game, where it was basically the A.J. Brown drive, caught everything, and they scored another touchdown. Turnover on down, and then a missed field goal, end of the game.
So
just horrible. I mean, how many 3 and outs were there, or 5 and outs even? 5 plays in 1 yard.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just ridiculous.
Meanwhile,
5 plays in 1 yard. But guys like Hurts, A.J. Brown, A.J. Smith, Dallas Goedert, you can't get more than 1 yard on 5 plays?
Right. Saquon Barkley. Did Bigsby even have a carry?
Barkley. Yeah.
By the way, did Tank Bigsby even have a carry?
No.
So
no
all
carries. And even Barkley, who was running a pretty decent game, he was actually having at least a decent game yesterday. I think he was averaging like 4.5 yards a carry, which is way up from him this year. He only ran the ball 13 times in a windy game. It was very much a windy game again during yesterday's game, and they only ran it 13 times.
Yeah, he couldn't catch the ball at all.
And he dropped the ball.
So as you're reading through those stats, all I picture is Bears running backs running for 10, 12 yards per carry, each going over 100, while our offense is struggling. And then I didn't understand when your goal, if you're down by 2 scores, is to make it a 1-score game first, right? So with like a few minutes, there was like 2, I think it was before the 2-minute warning. Maybe it was just under it. But kick the extra point there. Like, I get it. Extra points aren't as bona fide as, it's a windy day, and maybe that's what went into the decision-making. But I was like, why are you going for 2 now?
Yeah, that was stupid.
You need to make this a 1-score game. And if Elliott can't make this field goal, like he made 1, he missed the extra point. I'm like, let him kick the extra point, and now we're in a 1-score game. So now we don't have to do an onside kick to get a second score after we scored. Like that didn't make sense to me from a coaching perspective. And I don't often disagree, but I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, you need to make this a 1-score game at that point. And you could do it kicking an extra point. So why are you
then it's still a 2-score game, and then you're not, even though your defense was having a really horrible game, if they knew they only needed to get 1 more score, maybe they would have stepped up and stopped them, within 4 downs and got the ball back, rather than what you did by missing the extra point. Then your defense has to go out there knowing they still need 2 scores with like 3 minutes to go or whatever.
Yeah.
It was stupid. That was dumb. Totally
But
agree.
you got any banners that are supposed to be playing right now, like Barf or
Oh yeah. Well, thanks. Gosh darn it. Just the score for now. But thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to see the score because I can't remember what I predicted for the score, but I do know I called the Bears winning this one.
You did. So you were right about that. Congrats. Matt did predict the Bears to win 23-20. So pretty close game score wise. And if you remember my prediction, I really didn't have good vibes that the Eagles would win. I just didn't see the Eagles coming up
losing
a blown loss, choke job to Dallas, divisional game, losing at home. If this game was in Chicago, I think I said I would have probably picked the Bears, but I just didn't see them coming home and then losing again. Well, they did. So I had the Eagles winning 20-17. So Matt, good job on your prediction. So yeah, let me think of some other things here. Yeah, you mentioned how the Bears just ran all over them. Two, not 1, 2 running backs of the Bears ran for over 100 yards. It was the first time since 1963 that it's the most rushing yards that the Eagles allowed at home since 1963. 1963.
After we had just contained Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery on the Lions 2 weeks earlier, right? Yeah. Gibbs had a couple big runs, but wasn't dominant. And all of a sudden we're like,
no.
We can't stop Caleb Williams. We can't stop the running backs. We can't stop anybody. Like, Jalen Hunt was the only positive thing that I can pull out of last night's game. Because I'm not giving A.J. Brown any credit for any of the stuff he does, because there's something really screwed up about A.J. Brown and his relationship with either Hurts or the rest of the Eagles or the organization itself.
Well, we'll get into A.J. More in a minute. Let me just give you some more
awfulness.
Yeah. The Bears ran 85 plays yesterday. I'm like, 85 plays? That just sounds like a ridiculous amount, which it is. And the Eagles had 51 plays. So they ran 34 more plays than the Eagles in that game.
This is like showing up for Thanksgiving dinner, and the only thing that you're allowed to eat as an Eagles fan would have been like homemade cranberry sauce and like sweet potato pie that somebody put pecans all over, and like you have a nut allergy, so you're not even going to touch that. And then you're watching the stuffing and the turkey and the mashed potatoes all be eaten by the other people at the table, but you can't touch it. That's what yesterday's football game was like.
Yeah, you go to reach for it, your hand slap. Like, nope, you can't eat what's in your plate first.
Yeah, this is not for you.
Not even homemade. You said even homemade cranberry sauce. How about from the can?
From the can.
Not even homemade. So one last little tidbit about the game, or actually the season. I kind of looked at some season, what's been going on for the year. So 6 times this year, 6 games, I should say, in 6 games, the Eagles offense, this great offense with all these high-powered and certainly a very expensive offense, has scored 20 points or less 6 times. 6 times. And there would be a 7th time, but they scored 21, as we know, last week versus the Cowboys for the choked. So you could say 7 times that the Eagles have scored 21 points or less.
You have their statistics on third down?
No, I don't have that. I didn't want to get too ugly. Sure, that's another horrible stat.
League's worst third down conversion at like less than 33%. So less than a third of the time do they get a first down on third down.
We can say this, I think, safely at this point, Matt, and that is our preseason offensive predictions are going to be way, way, way skewed on the high end.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we were way off on Dallas Goedert. He's probably the only one. Actually, he cooled down the last 4 weeks, so we might.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything. Yeah, right.
But
which is a problem. Now that's something else, right? I was actually had that written down as a note also. So as you mentioned during the game, and they mentioned it during the telecast a few times, the Bears went into this game with none of their starting linebackers, none, all injured, all out. And where's Dallas Goedert? Okay, you want to talk about a game where Goddard should have went off?
Where's the middle?
Not blaming Goddard. They threw to him twice the whole game. They threw to Dallas Goedert twice. So that's where the fans, much like me and you and everyone else out there, are like, what the F is going on? Who's coaching and who's coming up with schemes and game plans for in these games? I mean, you or I would figure that out, man. We'd be like, oh, all their linebackers are out? All right, Dallas Goedert. We're gonna probably come up with 10 different plays at least for Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
To start, that would be like on the white chalkboard, or on the whiteboard. Okay, Dallas Goedert, at least 10 attempts. Yeah. 10 passes.
I feel like if we had the ability to edit in a clip from the movie Airplane, this would be like, sure, sir, shouldn't we turn the lights on the field? Like, no, that's exactly what they'd be expecting us to do.
Oh.
And like, shouldn't we throw in the middle? No, that's exactly what they'll be expecting us to do. And so it's like, all right, don't do that. Even though everybody, even Chip Kelly could design an offensive game plan that would have attacked the middle of the field.
Yeah. But nothing. None. No slants even. If you're not going to go to Goddard, where are the slants over the middle? You know what's funny? I think the first slants I saw in that game was like garbage time when they were down and just tried that A.J. Brown drive. I saw like 3 or 4 slants almost in a row. Yep. I'm like, where is this when you need to call the slants?
Yeah. By the way, not accurately thrown slants either.
No.
AJ is reaching back. He's reaching in front. He's like, hurts his accuracy. is not there for 70% of the game. Like he'll make a great throw occasionally. Where you're like, wow, how did he drop that in the bucket? But then a lot of them see these receivers being stopped in their progress through the route to go reach back, and they can't. They have no
reach back.
Like they can't run with the football after the catch.
What about the deep slant early in the game? How about the deep slant that Smitty was wide open?
Yeah,
wide open downfield with like a deep post, and he totally. I mean, I don't even know where he was throwing that ball. I don't know if it was the wind. That was nowhere near Smitty, and there was no one on him.
No.
Yeah, maybe we are finding out why they don't throw slants. Maybe Hurts can't throw slants. I don't know. By the way, on that 2-point conversion that you mentioned, do you know who was open on that? I don't know if you saw it on the replay.
No.
A.J. Brown was wide open. Right, had his guy beat right off the bat for a quick little slant. Would have been a quick slant, but that's what his route was. He did a quick jout to the right and it went in, and he was wide open. And Hurts didn't see him at all. Didn't even look at him. Like, that would have been easy 2 points. Wide open. If you see that replay again, Matt, you'll see what I'm talking about. A.J. Brown sitting there waiting for the ball. Hurts is looking like over the middle, happy feet. Hurts is really not playing well right now. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's been bad. At least since that first quarter against Dallas, he's been bad. Even AJ on that touchdown pass, that was not a good thrown pass either. AJ had to adjust.
AJ had to cut off the defender. And
he did a great job. Yeah, he did a great job. I mean, that's the thing about AJ. I mean, yeah, he's been vocal and this and that and encrypting messages and being an ass, but he's freaking damn good.
Yeah. No, he'll show up and he'll play every week.
You can't knock the talent, man. He was like the only one given any effort in that game, and on offense, basically on offense. What else? Yeah, you mentioned no Bigsby. Windy day again. Where's the game planning?
Like
windy day, very breezy out there, like it wasn't the last game.
Yeah, and they're like,
and you decide to throw the ball 40 fucking times.
Well, that should have been, if the Bears can run, then we should have run. It should have been Barkley and Bigsby all day long against that Bears, and that should have been a 3 yards in a cloud of dust game. And instead, they was trying to pass the shit out of the ball, and all they ended up doing was pass the ball shitty.
And that's where it's like, with some of the bitching that AJ Brown's was doing, it's like, well, he did it in the wrong ways, of course, with his encrypting messages. But you look at what AJ was saying weeks and weeks ago about this offense and how frustrated he was getting. And, maybe it wasn't all about me getting the ball all the time. I mean, I'm sure that was part of it because that's kind of the way he's been. But I really think that it's also like he just knows this offense is just going nowhere. And it is. It's been going nowhere. I don't know. I don't have any other notes. Really, it's just a venting session from this point forward. I'm going to go to players or player grades. But anyone grade higher than a D in this game? Maybe a couple.
I have
for sure.
I got one more one more play call that was absolutely horrific, and it was as the remaining seconds are ticking off the clock, and they call a designed run to Hurts with no timeouts. And I'm like, maybe you are trying to get him injured to get McKee in the game and have the decision. Because I'm like, who does a quarterback? Like, the game is essentially over. Yeah. And do a designed run to Hurts with 13 seconds left. May have even been the final play of the game. It's one of the final plays. Yeah. And I'm like, are you running your quarterback on a designed run to have him take one more hit before this game's over? Maybe the OC was pissed off at Hurts' lack of ability to play and was like, you know what, just run it. Call your own number. I'm done with you. I don't know, but it just seemed like such an odd play call at that time of the game if you cared about keeping your starters on the field. That, it was just weird.
Yeah, I remember that now. I didn't think like that at the time, probably because I was just so pissed. But yeah,
I was like, what?
It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
it's a horrible play call at that time of the game.
Yeah, throw it down the field and hope for an interception or hope for a Hail Mary or something. If it gets picked off, it's the end of the game anyways. But you're running your quarterback, your franchise quarterback, to the Bears defense to just take a hit. Didn't make sense.
Well, maybe it's because the only time they ever moved the ball during the game yesterday was when they had the design quarterback run. I mean, those were the drives that the Eagles actually got something going on that I can remember from yesterday, other than, A.J. Brown doing his thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Like, you got to figure out something now. If they're going to try to salvage this season from being another epic collapse, it's like, what do you do? I don't know if changing a play caller, honestly, is going to do much, because I don't know if it's just that. I mean, yeah, there's some bad play calls, and I think they probably should try to find someone to eventually be a new OC. Like, I don't want him to be OC next year, but to change all this right now in the middle of the season, just a play caller, they're still going to be calling the same plays. So it's like,
I think
I don't know if that's the answer.
I think the answer is Tanner McKee. I'd be like, Jalen, we're just going to sit you down, right? Just you're still my guy, but we just need you to take a break because you're not seeing things that are there to be seen. And we're still in the thick of getting home field advantage, right? The Rams have 5 games left. Everyone has 5.
That's starting to become a distant memory, but yeah, they are. But
yeah, and I would
now we got 2 teams in front. Now the Bears and the Rams are ahead of them.
That's where I would start, because if I were head coach, I need to know the info. I need to know, is this my quarterback or is this my OC? Why aren't things clicking? And if McKee,
I agree, you're really risking another. You know how the Philly media and the fans are going to be.
Yeah.
If Tanner McKee goes out there next week against the Chargers and the Eagles put up 35 points and roll offensively, then you got a problem. Rest of the season.
If you're Nick Sirianni, you made the right call as a head coach if that happens, and it's Howie's problem. It's not your problem. It's Howie's problem.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. That's the first thing I would do is say, Jalen, we need to sit you down just one game until you get things kind of reset, and maybe that lights a fire under Jalen's butt that says, oh, I actually have to play better. Yeah, you do, because this is unacceptable football right now. So That's the way I would go this week. Will Sirianni do it? I doubt it. But that's the move to be made. I would love to see what Tanner McKee can do with this number 1 starting offense with this offensive game plan. And because they don't run Hurts enough on these design runs to truly take advantage of it all game in the past. So
they're not even doing RPOs much either. They're not doing RPOs either. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see it too. I agree with all the reasons you just said, but I can't see the Eagles doing it because they're just going to create a controversy on the team while they're struggling through this collapse right now. I agree, because we need to have answers. We need to find out if Hurts is the long-term solution here, and find out if McKee can really run this offense better and maybe is like a golden gem sitting on the bench.
If nothing else, it raises McKee's trade value going into the offseason.
That too.
So like Howie, I don't think Eagles organization, the management, would be against this. It all makes sense for a lot of good reasons to bench Hurts.
It does. It makes sense, but I don't think they would ever even consider. Like, I don't even think that would even be a blip on their radar thought.
I would do it in a second. If the whole
unless they're eliminated. Sorry.
If the whole offense is watching game film and they're just watching receiver after tight end after missed, not even throws that are attempted, but just missed even seeing the throws. How do you keep going back and saying, Jalen, you got to make that play. Jalen, you got to see it here. You got to look here, Jalen.
I agree with you. I just can't see them doing it. I just can't see. If they went to a super collapse, I mean, all time where they actually, I don't even know if they have time to have that much of a collapse the rest of the season. But let's just say they collapse so much where they lose 4 straight games,
miss the play,
2 games left in the season. Maybe then they turn to McKee to get things going. But outside of that, I just can't see it happening. Even though everything you just said makes a lot of sense. I mean,
and it's all because the fans want information. What is the problem? You guys have had 6 weeks of shitty football to figure this out, and nobody seems to be able to figure it out. So the fans, I think, are going to be more and more like, is it the OC or is it the quarterback? Like, and there's one thing you can move to give us some evidence there. And if you put McKee in and he got completely crushed because they had a horrible game plan, well, then, it's the OC. Like, I
agree. Yeah, there's a way to find answers. You're right.
Yeah.
I just don't think they'll do it. I don't think they have the guts to do it, honestly. But yeah, that would give us a lot of answers. You're right.
Maybe
they're afraid. Maybe they're afraid to tell the fans what the answers are. Maybe internally they know, and they don't want to show it, which would be stupid. But
everybody thinks in the local media though that Sirianni is this talking figurehead of a head coach and has no decision-making authority. So if I were Sirianni hearing that stuff, I'd be like, yeah, Hurts, you're riding the bench. And I'll be like, we'll see who's in charge of this team. Hurts, you're sitting out. Let's go. Tanner McKee's the quarterback, and you can have all the answers right in front of you. And I
think it would have to happen naturally, like you said. And unfortunately, would have to take, I think, a Hurts injury for them to get McKee in the game. I don't think they'll actually make that call. I don't think it would happen. I'm just like, again, as all the reasons you just said, and I agree with them. I agree with everything. We get answers. Is it the OC or is it Hurts? I mean, we would find that out pretty quickly. But I can't see the Eagles doing that. I can't see it. I don't think anyone has the balls in the organization, including Sirianni, to do it.
You're probably right.
I just don't see it. But I do. It would give us the answers, though. It definitely would. All right. Well, the other thing is, offensively, we know that the Eagles have been playing like crap for more than just the Dallas game. They squeaked by Detroit. They squeaked by Green Bay. This team could easily be on a 4-game losing streak right now, very easily. The defense bailed them out in those 2 games. And now it's like, yeah, everyone wants to – the defense played bad yesterday, no doubt. Just got gassed in the run game. But it's like this is the other impact and effect. This is why they collapsed in 2023, because you had one side of the team that was playing horrible, and then eventually the other side of the team just ends up playing horrible. And it was vice versa in 2023, if you remember, when they couldn't stop anyone on defense.
Yep.
Yet their offense was still pretty good. And then eventually the offense stunk at the end of the year, and they were just horrible and couldn't beat anybody. This kind of trend is happening right now, where the defense has bailed the offense out 2 straight games and 2 huge wins versus, again, Detroit and Green Bay.
Well, throw on top of that the blocked field goal against the Rams at the game we were at.
Right. Yeah, that's another. Exactly. They probably should have lost that game too. But the defense bailed them out. Special teams bailed them out. So what I'm getting at is this now crossing over these struggles to, at least mentally, on the mental side, because this defense is just getting exhausted. I mean, yesterday
they're on the field all game.
When your offense is going 3 and out, like I mentioned, I went through all the drives. When they're going giving the ball right back to the Bears, especially the Bears where they're running the ball, it's very tough to, it's hard on the defense to stop a good running team. And they would finally make a stop yesterday, and the Eagles offense would give the Bears the ball right back. I mean, they had no chance to even get a breather on the sideline. So I think that impacted one reason why I think this defense is just getting gassed, because this offense has just been so shitty the last 4 straight games.
Yep.
Outside of the first quarter of the Dallas game. This is the only time we've seen an offense in the last month and a half. Terrible. I mean, the defense does. I'm not trying to give the defense a break for how bad they played yesterday, but at the same time, you can kind of see at least why they had a game where they just collapsed themselves on defense. They just got to be exhausted. They got to be tired. They're bailing this offense out all the time, All right, well, let's try to go to player grades. I mean, I don't know if anyone ranks much higher than a C, but do you have anybody? I mean, maybe Jalix Hunt, you said?
Jalix Hunt's the only guy that kind of stood out from yesterday's game. And I'm just like, thanks, Jalix, for being a player. Nobody else seemed to really show up on defense. Like, nobody else making any plays. Blankenship getting smoked. Sidney Brown getting smoked. They should have had one more touchdown. Brown wasn't even in the vicinity of the receiver.
And I saw the one play where he got absolutely just fooled trying to cover. I think it was a Dupe in the corner of the end zone. And he was. Sidney Brown definitely struggles in pass defense, no doubt. That's not his strength. But yeah, he was fooled mightily in that route.
So,
But yeah, Blankenship got smoked quite a few, but he's playing. I think he's playing a little injured.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe why he was, short up plays yesterday. But
I think, not having Josh Sweat, Jalen Phillips, I guess he's still getting pressures, but I'm like, I haven't seen anything. That's 2 games in a row Where
2 games in a row, he's kind of disappeared. Yeah, it's true.
like he's just getting washed out of the play. Like I don't. There's nothing special. Nothing seems to be striking me as special about him. He's just one more guy that's kind of like a tweener. Like, okay, are you really doing anything that Nolan Smith couldn't do? I'm not so sure because we're not getting to the quarterback anyways. So the defense just very unimpressive.
The only time I saw them get to the quarterback yesterday was when Smith came from the outside on a great pass rush, just ran right by his guy, and then Jalen Carter kind of came up middle at the same time.
Yep.
Other than that, I didn't see really any pressure yesterday at all.
No, AJ had a good game because they threw him the ball, but I'm like, but the damage might already be done with him. Like, I don't know. So AJ probably gets an A. Alex Hunt gets like a B plus because he had the one momentum turning play that could have been good, but everyone else just bad. Hurts played the worst game of the year, I think, and he's had some.
I think so. That was a really bad game by Hurts. Yeah, really bad.
That's it. Elliott missing field goals or extra points. Like, okay, like,
yeah. I don't know. Elliott, you just kind of know, like, you just know if he's on or not. He's one of those guys where as soon as he missed that extra point, I'm like, oh, this could be a rocky game for Elliott. And yeah, it was. But he's like the least of my concerns. I'm still not worried about him at all. Really not. You like to make that extra point, it's amazing how the extra point kick in certain games, like, and this is actually I felt yesterday when he missed it. It is such a deflator, even though it's only 1 point. You're like, I still scored. And now they're just 1 point down. When you miss an extra point, sometimes it's just like, oh man,
because you need another score. That's it. You need another score.
Yeah, it's such a deflate.
Coaching awful.
Yeah.
Sirianni lost his shit on the sidelines. I don't know if he was yelling at fans. They said he was yelling at fans, I guess. But I'm like, why are you yelling that way? Your yelling should be towards the field.
Yeah, the team for their shitty ass performance.
Yeah,
I didn't see them. I saw him yelling on the sidelines, but I don't know. They said he was yelling at the fans yesterday.
I read one article that said he was yelling at the fans, but he clearly wasn't yelling at like anything on the field. Like, he was back this way, like yelling back there. I'm like, what are you yelling at? Like, did the drone pilot like fly the drone too close to your face? Like, I don't know what that was all about. But I think Eagles fans are pretty much in the pocket of like, we want to see some changes, and I don't care what they are. If you needed to, you sit Barkley and Hurts at the same time, and you let Will Shipley and Tank Bigsby take over so that you can show something, and then that way they don't have to, you don't have to pin it all on the quarterback. But I'm like, something has to be done this week. Like, this is, if you're not willing to do something this week.
Well, one thing that, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
If you're not willing to do something this week as a head coach, then this is the best time for you to do something.
I think there's one thing that might facilitate some change. I don't think it'll come from Sirianni. I don't think it'll come from Howie, but they showed Jeffrey Lurie up there in the box yesterday, and not only one time, I think, but he definitely had one of those. Remind me again of 2023. Just he had a disgusting. I don't know how he couldn't, but it's not surprising. But they did show him up there, and he definitely didn't look happy whatsoever, just to put it mildly. And he's someone who can obviously make shit happen by just, after the game yesterday, going or during this week, where they have a couple extra days now for the next game, and saying, guys, this is now X amount of weeks now. We need to shake things up. You guys figure it out. I want an answer by Wednesday what we're going to do next week. I mean, he's a guy who can be a mover and shaker.
I hope he does.
And, the fans yesterday this is the first time that the boos really came across on television. They freaking, those boos were loud yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that's how bad it was.
It was bad. And they deserved every single boo, no doubt. But the thing is, getting back to Hurts, I know he's got that stoic face, whether they're up 30 points or down 30 points, but it's like, I'd love to see some passion out of Jalen every once in a while. Can he not go over to the offense and say, what the, do some either Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or, on the sideline and fucking just show some fucking emotion?
No, because he's not communicating with his team. he'll think of whatever philosopher's quote he needs to say behind the podium, but he's actually not talking to his team. Like Peyton made and they'd shout back and forth, but at least they're communicating. And then they come out and they just stay mission focused. Like, I don't know.
I mean, there's no written rule that says you can't, lay into a teammate if you think he's not giving effort, or, just a general, guys, let's get the fuck going. What can't, whatever he needs to say.
Hard to be that guy.
Go off the sideline. Like some do this yesterday, 3-4 times. Sure, you saw it too. They showed them quite a few times during the Amazon Prime cameras. He just goes right to the sideline, puts his helmet on, and just sits down.
Yeah.
Like,
it seemed like anybody's able to call him out. Right?
Right.
Like, how are you supposed to tell somebody else they're not doing their job if you're not doing yours?
And he wasn't yesterday.
Why they're not talking?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was actually a little more calmer this episode than I thought I was going to be. I guess it doesn't really, what's any screaming or howling going to do? But man, just totally, just having feelings and flashbacks of 2023. That's what I'm feeling right now. When this team just collapsed, couldn't beat anybody in the end of that year, and that was following a Super Bowl appearance as well. And this team just, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Second time now this has happened within the last 4 years, where the Eagles, coming off a really successful year, Super Bowl run, just starts off good, gets a lot of close. When we say good, but they got wins. They didn't look great in a lot of them, but they got the wins. Just like 2022. You remember there was a lot of close games beginning of the year. The Eagles just etched out, got to 10-1, and then absolutely fell off the cliff. And this is very similar to that. I have a lot of very similar feelings about watching this team and how they're playing right now. I don't know if they could beat the Raiders right now. I mean, really. Not even joking saying that.
No.
If you can't move the ball, you can't even get first downs.
No.
And how are you going to beat the Raiders?
And you just exposed how bad your run defense is. So get ready for a big blast of G.T. coming at you. Plus, they just fired Chip Kelly. So, their offense is going to be completely different going into this week. There's no tape on them. There's nothing to figure out. So, This is the worst time to be playing the Raiders, and the Eagles are up. And if they lose that game, again, you've got
they play the Chargers next. The Raiders are a game or two down the road.
The Chargers.
I was just using the Raiders as an example because they're one of the worst teams in the league, and I don't know if I'd be all that confident the Eagles could beat them right now, which is ridiculous. But that's really how I feel. They're bidding to the Chargers. We'll obviously have a preview show about them, but that's a running first team also. That's a Jim Harbaugh team. He loves to run the ball. Now, they haven't had their number one running back because he got hurt early in the season, Hampton. But guess who's ready to come back? Maybe might play this weekend, tomorrow. Hampton. He's had fractured his ankle in the beginning of the year. He was a guy who was off to a really good start before he got hurt. If he comes back this Sunday, certainly he's playing against the Eagles next week. So
buckle down. Get buckled, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride to the finish line.
Yeah. And do you not think that Herbert's going to be picking on who was ever up against Sidney Brown? I mean,
yeah, Quentin Johnson might have a big game.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like Sidney, I love the guy, praise him all the time, wanted to see him play, but man, he got smoked on a couple of times. He just solely wasn't even close to the receiver. One of them should have been a touchdown, like you said. Yeah, I mean, this game could have very easily been, 30-something to 15. And the Bears could have scored easily 2 more touchdowns. So that's the other thing. The score doesn't even reflect how this game went yesterday. That's sad to say, but it is true though. I mean, Caleb Williams had to deal with the win too. He got lucky, Caleb's fast, by the way. There was that one play where it was like 3rd and long, and he just beat the Eagles to the first down marker. He's pretty fast. He's faster than I thought he was running the ball.
Well, the Eagles were all tired as well.
Yeah, the Eagles are probably gassed. That's true too. Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. There's part of me, that it's nice to have the Bears back in a sense because they're like one of those sort of like pillar teams in the NFL. So I always think it's good when the Bears are good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're used to seeing the Bears be a good team. So wish them luck the rest of the way. Thank you for the ass whooping on Black Friday. And hopefully this Eagles team can figure shit out here because they're running out of time and they're also losing a lead. I mean, we didn't even think that the Eagles had a chance of losing the division. Well, now the Cowboys are definitely in the division hunt again.
Yep.
And they're playing way better football right now than the Eagles are. That was another big win they just had. They looked good against Kansas City. And that was a desperate Kansas City team who needed to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cowboys are really firing in all cylinders right now. So, I don't know. Do you have any other closing thoughts here before we wrap this one up?
No, but I'm ready for changes. If you don't change now, you didn't do anything to try to save the season. Somebody is responsible for all the crap that's going on, and that person needs to be sat down. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, Jeffrey Lurie did not have a pleasant look on his face, nor did we expect him to. I don't think we think they'd boom up to his booth and he'd be like, yeah, laughing and having a good time. But, we've seen that look on Lurie's face before, and it usually doesn't bode well for someone or, on the team, whether that's the coach, whether that's the offensive coordinator, whether that's the quarterback. I don't know. But that look on Jeffrey does not just sit down and get embarrassed like he just did. And he's also got to be steaming from blowing the Cowboys game too. So,
yeah.
We'll see. Maybe when Matt and I come back on the next episode and preview the Chargers game, maybe there is some breaking news that the Eagles are doing something. They've decided to make something change. But until then, enjoy football tomorrow. See what happens across the league. And next up will be the Chargers. So with that said, fly, Eagles, fly. And we'll catch you next time. Take it easy. Any go birds?
Go birds. Make some changes.